Tony Allen, one of the best defenders in the NBA, in the history of the NBA, just literally completely annihilated LeBron James for saying that he's a great defender and he should have gotten a Defensive Player of the Year award and all that. You got to hear this. Let's talk about it.
Get ready, because things are about to heat up in the NBA world. Tony Allen, widely regarded as one of the greatest perimeter defenders the game has ever seen, just went after LeBron James in a big way. It all stems from LeBron's bold claim that he believes he deserved a Defensive Player of the Year award at some point in his career, a statement Allen says is nothing short of laughable. This isn't just some casual hot take either. It's a legendary defensive specialist calling out what he sees as a completely manufactured narrative. Here's why, according to Allen. LeBron's Defensive Player of the Year case is pure fantasy, and it starts with Allen's own reaction. Yeah? Defensive Player of the Year?
Defensive Player of the Year.
Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only award that I don't have in my house. That kind of stings. I talked about this before, like, it don't make sense. It's almost like what Jay just said about B. How can she have the most Grammys, but never won Album of the Year?
Yeah.
So the year I finished second in Defensive Player of the Year award, the guy who won Defensive Player of the Year didn't even make.
LeBron James, a player already loaded with accolades, reveals what he considers his biggest missed honor: never winning Defensive Player of the Year. He openly voices his frustration, pointing to one specific season where the actual award winner didn't even make the all-defensive first team, arguing that he was the one who truly deserved the trophy. But that sense of injustice is about to run headfirst into a defensive legend who lives for exactly this kind of debate.
We stole the award from him the year that Marc Gasol won it and LeBron James didn't. LeBron James was runner-up, he was second.
So, happy to have Marc, another champion.
Yeah.
One with the Raptors 2 years ago, who I've always loved.
Yeah.
Marc has my Defensive Player of the Year trophy at his house. But
LeBron doubles down on the grievance, pointing his finger directly at Marc Gasol for what he views as stealing his rightful Defensive Player of the Year trophy back in 2013. This isn't some vague, "I should have won it" comment either. It's a direct shot at a respected peer. But before getting into Tony Allen's blistering response, it helps to understand exactly how this whole exchange came about. Tony Allen apparently came across the clip of LeBron's comments and addressed it directly on a podcast, where he didn't hold back at all, essentially arguing that LeBron rarely had to guard anybody at a high level throughout his career. Known for his relentless lockdown defense, Allen didn't just disagree with LeBron, he went after his entire defensive reputation, claiming LeBron was never truly forced to check elite scorers. This isn't just idle chatter, it's one of the best perimeter defenders in league history, directly challenging a narrative that's followed LeBron for years. While nobody questions LeBron's offensive brilliance, his defensive reputation has often been given more credit than Allen believes it deserves, and Allen is here to offer his own blunt take on what he actually saw on the floor. In his own words, Allen said flatly that LeBron never really had to check anybody, that most of what people remember defensively from him boils down to chase-down blocks rather than sustained physical defense. He also directly challenges the idea that LeBron deserved Gasol's award, saying plainly that the trophy belonged to Gasol, not LeBron. Allen doesn't stop at criticism either. He throws in a claim of his own, revealing that people asked him that same year why he didn't win Defensive Player of the Year, and admitting that he never once believed LeBron deserved it, adding that if Gasol didn't earn it, he himself should have been the one to get it instead. Allen's frustration clearly comes from a career built entirely around defensive effort, which is exactly why LeBron even bringing up the DPOY conversation feels to him like a slight against true defensive specialists. But Allen's sharpest criticism is still to come, as he digs into LeBron's actual on-court role defensively. He describes watching LeBron come into every game as the primary offensive focal point, someone constantly moving through traffic on offense, while his defensive contributions mostly amounted to a couple of chase-down blocks per game. He challenges anyone to name a single elite scorer LeBron was specifically tasked with shutting down to help win a series, arguing that it was always the opposite. Teams were building game plans to stop LeBron, not the other way around. It's a pointed argument that LeBron's defensive reputation was built more on circumstance and highlight moments than consistent, sustained effort, with Allen insisting LeBron never fully committed to defense as a priority. The conversation then shifts to LeBron's rare physical gifts versus his actual defensive results, with Allen calling 6 all-defensive selections underwhelming for a player with LeBron's athletic ability, suggesting he could have easily doubled that total had defense truly been a priority for him. It's less a dismissal of LeBron's talent and more a critique of what Allen sees as untapped defensive potential. Someone with the physical tools to be an all-time great defender who simply chose to focus his energy elsewhere. But what about LeBron's more famous defensive moments, like his reputation for locking up Paul Pierce in the playoffs? Allen firmly pushes back on that narrative too, instead crediting his own Celtics team for forcing LeBron's exit to Miami, implying LeBron essentially gave up on that Cleveland squad rather than fighting through adversity. He recalls LeBron not shaking hands after a particular playoff loss, framing it as a sign that he walked away rather than face the moment directly. This isn't just a breakdown of defensive stats anymore. It's a raw, emotionally charged account of one of the league's more intense historical rivalries and the lasting impact it left. Coming from a former Celtic, it's clearly a one-sided but deeply passionate perspective. So did LeBron really walk away from that rivalry? Or is there more to the story?
You know about this game, and he care a lot about these stats. He care a lot about all this stuff because you know damn well you weren't trying to lock nobody up. He just putting the narrative out there, but I disagree with that one.
Hey, well, there you go, LeBron. That's for you.
Yeah, but it ain't hating though. I'm just a discussion.
Tony Allen wraps up his critique by painting LeBron as overly emotional and fixated on stats. The implication is pointed. LeBron's much-talked-about defensive legacy isn't rooted in real hunger to lock down opponents, but in a desire to check another box on his career resume. Coming from a competitor with Allen's reputation, it's a character judgment as much as a basketball one, a suggestion that winning isn't always LeBron's only motivation. Before we get to Allen's final verdict, though, let's clear something up. This touches on a complaint LeBron has made before, one we already broke down in a separate video on this channel. Links up if you want the full explanation. The short version, it comes down to how the 2 awards are voted on. One is decided by media members, the other is decided by coaches, and coaches aren't allowed to vote for players on their own team. That difference alone explains a lot of what looked like a snub, so that part of the story is settled. No controversy there. Now, back to Tony Allen. This is where the narrative around Marc Gasol gets clarified. Gasol won Defensive Player of the Year without landing a spot on the all-defensive team, which on the surface looks like a contradiction. But once you factor in that separate groups vote on each award using different rules, the anomaly stops looking so mysterious. It also means one of LeBron's go-to arguments, that he was somehow snubbed or overlooked, doesn't hold up the way it's often presented. With that argument out of the way, Allen's bigger point about LeBron's effort on defense carries even more weight. So what's Allen's actual bottom line? Coming from a player widely regarded as one of the greatest on-ball defenders the league has ever seen, the claim is blunt. LeBron never had to guard anybody. Not really. He never wanted to, and by Allen's account, he never did. That's the core of Allen's argument, not a question of talent, but of will. When someone with Allen's defensive resume says a superstar routinely avoided the toughest defensive assignments, it's not a small jab. It's a direct challenge to how LeBron's defensive legacy has been built and sold for years. And Allen isn't done. He's got a nickname for LeBron now, one that's making the rounds, LeBrog. Whether it originated with Allen or his circle, the label is meant to sting. The suggestion being that LeBron talks a big game about his defense, but the highlight reel stops don't reflect his night-to-night effort. Ask yourself, when's the last time you actually remember LeBron locking in on defense for a full game, not just a single possession?
So how does that compare to another all-time great? According to Allen, Kobe Bryant was simply a better defender than LeBron ever was, and that's where a recent Bleacher Report ranking becomes the flashpoint. Kobe, a 9-time All-Defensive First-Team selection, was slotted at number 42 on that list, behind LeBron, who came in at 22nd. Allen's reaction is disbelief. How does a list get that backwards? That gap is what seems to have set Allen off. The ranking reportedly came out within the past week, which means this isn't an old grudge resurfacing. It's a direct response to something current. Seeing a defender with Kobe's resume ranked that low, while LeBron, a player Allen insists never had to guard anyone, gets ranked above him, is what pushed Allen to speak out. And clearly, he's not holding back.
There's always been stories about LeBron James shying away from covering the biggest players and the best players. He always covers somebody else. And the best player is always, somebody else's responsibility, somebody else's job. It's always been like that. That's just LeBron James. And what's great about this here is Tony Allen also says that LeBron James is emotional.
There have always been whispers that LeBron James avoids matching up against the league's toughest scorers. Someone else usually draws that responsibility. It's rarely him. That's been a recurring pattern throughout his career, and according to Tony Allen, it's simply who LeBron is as a player. What makes Allen's take even more pointed is that he doesn't stop at LeBron's defense. He also brings up LeBron's emotional side. According to Allen, LeBron frequently makes decisions driven by emotion rather than strategy. And beyond that, Allen suggests LeBron has a well-documented preoccupation with his own statistics. It's not a new accusation. LeBron has faced stat-padding criticism for years, but hearing it echoed by someone with Allen's defensive credibility gives it extra weight. Coming from a player widely respected as one of the most relentless on-ball defenders the NBA has seen, this isn't just noise. Allen's message is clear. LeBron's push for defensive recognition looks less like genuine defensive commitment and more like a box he wants checked on an already stacked resume. So, final verdict from Tony Allen: blunt, direct, and exactly the kind of honesty fans have been waiting to hear about LeBron's defensive legacy. What's your take? Does Allen have a point, or is this an unfair read on LeBron's career?